Hey everyone, I'm making this video because I've gotten a couple of comments and emails asking for kind of more specifics regarding questions that you'll be asked during the JET interview. And the number one thing that they're going to be looking for is how flexible you are. And you can show this in a lot of ways. They're going to ask a lot of questions that deal with this kind of in an indirect manner. So the first thing they asked me was, in my application I put down that I'd wanted to be in Kyushu. And they asked me, first of all, why do you want to be in Kyushu? And I told them I'm from a place where the winter lasts 5 months. It snows the entire time. The temperatures are always sub-freezing, and I don't like snow. I want to be someplace warm and semi-tropical. It was an honest answer. And then they asked, okay, so what happens if you don't get placed where you want to be? What if you end up in Hokkaido or something like that? And you've got to be flexible about it. So I told them, I said, well, Kyushu's my preference, but really what I'm interested in is going to Japan. So anywhere I'm placed, it's fine, snow or no snow. And they seem to really like that answer, because what they're looking for are people who are legitimately interested in going to Japan. They understand that you have preferences about certain things, but the overarching thing that they're looking for is that you want to be there and you can be flexible in your living arrangements and schools and all that. Again, maybe you want to teach elementary school. And they'll ask you, what if you don't get to teach elementary school? What if you only end up with high school? Again, you got to be like, yeah, that's okay. I prefer elementary school, but I have no problem teaching high schoolers. It's really, and you're going to hear this a lot, but every situation is different, and there's a lot of different experiences to have in Japan. So keep that in mind. What else? The other big question you're going to get is, why do you want to do the JET program? Why do you want to be a JET and go to Japan? For me, this was a pretty easy question. I had a friend who was in Shimane in Izumo for 2 years. She was an ALT there. And I told the panelists, and I said she brought home so many amazing stories of the great experiences, the great friends, the great time she had there. And it was truly an adventure, and I was inspired by this, and I like to go there and have the same kinds of adventures. And also I told them that I was really interested in Japanese culture. Now, a lot of you are going to mention Japanese culture either in your essay, your letter of intent, or in your interview. And be ready to be specific about this, because when you say Japanese culture, it's a really vague term. So they said, okay, you're interested in Japanese culture. Like what? And this caught me off guard. Because when you think of Japan, you've never been here before, you have this kind of image of the way the society works, and you're like, I think that's cool. That's kind of interesting. I want to go and, do that for a while. But obviously you have to be a little more articulate than that. So my big thing was that, I like to write stories. I read a lot. I'm interested in writing, and I was able to tell them, well, I think Japan has a long and interesting history. And I was able to throw out some things like I was really interested in learning more about the old time period, like the Edo period before the Meiji Restoration, and kind of the post-restoration. And I was interested in learning about the events, which led up to modern Japan. I didn't get the question about, will you perform a lesson or tell us about a holiday or introduce yourself. I'm a minority in the JET community because I'm a married JET. There are very few of us here. And their question centered around my wife. their questions were mainly, okay, will your wife come to Japan with you? And I said, yeah, that's the plan. We both are really interested in Japan. We both want to live here. I guess you'd say we want to live there. And they asked, okay, well, what if your wife can't find a job? What will she do all day? Will she get bored? I said, no, I don't think so. She has a lot of hobbies. She likes to sew. She likes to knit. She likes to do artwork, that kind of thing. And they're like, oh, okay, but what if she ends up getting bored and going home or something? And I was like, that's okay. That would be her decision. But, it wouldn't affect our relationship or the fact that I'm on contract for a year here in Japan. And that's, again, another example of that flexibility that they're looking for. Okay, my wife didn't like Japan so much. Can I survive for a year without her teaching English over here? And I was able to tell them, yeah, we're in this for the long haul. Jet would be, a minimum of a year, and we'd be okay with that. And so they liked that answer. I could tell. The other thing is, again, what if she decides not to come to Japan with you? And I said, well, that's okay. We can deal with it. The other question I got is, what are some of your hobbies? I talked about reading and writing a lot because that's one of my major interests. And they said, okay, but what else do you do? So I say, well, I like things that other people like. I like martial arts. It's another reason I want to go to Japan. I'm interested in kendo and karate. And I like movies. I like to play video games. But they stopped me there, or at least the one older lady did. She said, "Oh, you like video games? Tell me, do you like anime?" And I was like, "Ooh, that's an awkward question." Because anime in Japan is really geared more toward kids, and I know it's really popular with college kids and sort of like teens in the States, but in Japan, it's you don't want to kind of portray yourself as a real like anime, I'll say anime enthusiast. You want to look a little more professional than that. So I was able to take the middle ground, and I was able to say, yeah, I like a few anime. I'm not saying that I'm really into it, but yeah, I can appreciate it for what it is. And I think they seem to think that answer was okay. My interview went longer than the 20 to 30 minutes that most interviews go. I think it was also because it was at the end of the day. My interview went for 40 minutes, and they were really asking me a lot of questions about coming over with my wife and that kind of thing. But the last, I'd say like 7 or 8 minutes or so was really relaxed. We just kind of talked a lot about different things I'd like to see in Japan, different places I'd like to go, different kind of experiences I'd like to have, different foods that I like to eat, that kind of thing. So I hope this helps. If you have more questions, please feel free to comment or ask me or whatever, and I'll try and do my best to answer you. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.